Hey, Will.
Hey, how you doing?
Another show, NAMM 2017.
Yeah.
Another blue room.
Exactly. Yeah, we like our blue lights at Roli.
So what's happening? You've got something exciting to show us, right?
Yeah. Well, we're basically here to show you how you can use Roli Blocks, our new product, to control all kinds of different DAWs and plugins and software programs. We launched Blocks a couple months ago. It's our modular music making system. You just connect different blocks together. They all have different musical functions. You connect them together to build the kit that you want. You can keep on building it. It's a new concept, still just starting out, and it's very exciting. Blocks works primarily with noise, our soft synth that's embedded in an iOS app. And from the beginning, we've been trying to make it a lot easier for skilled producers and musicians to integrate blocks with any of the popular software programs they use, and just make it easier to bring into their workflow.
It was one of the first questions, wasn't it? Is how can I use this outside of that ecosystem, right?
Exactly, because the LightPad block here is a very powerful controller. It's made all the more powerful by the touch-sensitive interface that lets you shape sound through pressure and through sideways movements and up and down motion. So to be able to take such a powerful interface and control Ableton, Logic, Cubase, Omnisphere, Contact, what have you, it really opens up so many more possibilities on the software side.
Is that what we're looking at here then? You've actually
That's what we're looking at. You are the first person, I believe, to see a beta version of Blocks Dashboard, which we're releasing to the public, still in beta form, on February 16th. And my friend Ruben here is, I think you're going to take us through a track that you're building in what, Ableton or Logic or? All right, cool. Well, I'll hand it over to Ruben.
So yeah, just to basically demonstrate, the LightPad block is an incredibly versatile and expressive instrument, right? Because it has this continuous pressure-sensitive silicone surface that has LEDs under it, right? So it detects how hard I attack the note, continuous pressure, I can pitch bend the notes up and down, I can move up and down for a filter of different effects, and even responds to how fast I take my fingers off the surface, right? So it's really, really powerful.
That sounded like Equator. Was that Equator?
That was me using Equator just to show you the functionality, but now the really amazing thing is that if I quit Equator here, I can actually use Blocks Dashboard to integrate the LightPad block into my setup with whatever DAW I'm comfortable with, or third-party software or hardware that I want to use, which is really exciting. So, for example, inside of Blocks Dashboard, I can do things like change the scale that's being displayed on the LightPad block, right? So now I have a major scale, minor scale, Phrygian, anything that I want to be displayed. I have a lot of fine control over that in terms of eliminating the notes outside of the scale. I can change the colors that are being displayed. But now that's just for controlling a synthesizer sound. But actually, I can use Blocks now to control many different things. So inside of Ableton Live, I can actually use, for example, one of these blocks as a mixing board. So I can now control the levels inside of Ableton.
So sort of standard MIDI controller stuff.
Standard MIDI controller stuff, right? But because of all of this gestural input, it can be really powerful. So for example, controlling like a filter, I can press into it. I can do lots of looping things. So I can show you how I can start building up a track, right?
But before you do that, so what is the pipeline? Is there a plugin that's running in Ableton, or is it a MIDI input? I mean,
so that's the amazing thing, is that basically Blocks is, the dashboard is just translating it into whatever type of MIDI message you want it to be sent as. And then inside of Ableton, I can use it with whatever third-party software I want.
So you can use it as a MIDI input, effectively.
Exactly, as a MIDI controller. So now it's a fully mappable and programmable MIDI controller. That's basically what Blocks Dashboard has allowed us to do. For example, I can use Blocks to control Yuhi Diva, right? A third-party software synth, really amazing synth. So I'm going to bring up the level there, and you can see. And as I move up, I can even use this dimension of touch to open the filter inside of their software, right? Independent pitch bend. And so if I want to start building up a track, right? So let's say I want to loop the first, loop a layer with the Yuhi Diva. So the top half of this block here, I'm using as a looping station. So I'm going to trigger this, and then it'll allow me to record
that's controlling something within Live as the looper, is it? Or is
yes,
that...
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So if I just turn on the metronome, here. So now I'm going to press this, and it's going to trigger a looper inside of live.
So we get a brass ensemble patch. Now, you have key switches for articulations. I'm just going
Right, so now I have this one part looping back. Now let's say if I want to use Ableton's drum rack, I can, because I can, use this as a very standard MIDI controller if I want to, velocity sensitivity. So now I'll start recording a loop here. Right, so now I have a drum part looping back.
Are you recording these as audio clips?
Yeah, I'm recording it inside of a looper, which is recording audio. Yep. From out of these different plugins. So far I've used Drum Rack and UV Diva. And now if I wanted, for example, add a bass part in, I can use Fab Filter Twin. Actually, that I can still use these different parameters regardless of what software I'm using. If I want to record it out, I can, so I'm going to wait for the loop to go around. Right, so now I have 3 parts looping back. And now I can use this other light pad block on the top, which looks like it's off, but it's actually an X, Y, and Z pad. So now I can use this, as you see, to control this auto filter. So I can change the resonance of the filter. I can also press into it to increase the LFO. Right?
So these are pre-mapped MIDI controls that you put in the MIDI mapping of Ableton, right?
Exactly. So it was sent in as standard MIDI messages, and now I can use them to control any software the way that I want. Right. If I want to bring up another instrument. Built-in operator synthesizer.
Yeah.
Right, and I can actually, now I'm going to go to another bank of my fader, and I can control an effect, for example, like a delay. Right, so it's really a very flexible system, right? I can use now this one MIDI controller in a way that I would normally have to have many different very specific MIDI controllers to be able to do the same thing.
So the UHI obviously speaks 5D or MPE or whichever we try it. So anything that can receive that means you can use that in native mode, right?
Absolutely, and the great thing also though is that because we now have control over the MIDI channels and how they're being sent, I can use something like, for example, Fab Filter Twin, which doesn't have native MPE support, multi-channel MIDI support, but I can still use the different gestures to control the parameters inside of Fab Filter. So, for example, I was going up and down to open and close the filter. So if I just bring everything out, you can just hear, or not, sorry.
Because some people get frustrated, I don't know a piano layout.
Sorry, for some reason, it's because of the filter. Okay.
Okay.
Right, so I can really...
So you could use the same gestures, but I mean, depending on the case and how you've mapped it in Ableton, it'll just be whatever. When you're switching banks in this, are you able to switch type of controls? Are you switching fader banks? Could you switch bank and it would be an XY pad on the next bank, or does it have to be per device?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, the way that the direction that we're moving with Block's dashboard is to make it really, really customizable. And so we're actually moving in a direction where you'll be able to have different sections of a single block or a whole setup to be which type of controller you want it to be. And so, yeah, really we want it to be a full system that you can, customize to your workflow, right? So you can have your fader set up in this way and also maybe have note triggering on that or...
And how many banks per block can you have in terms of...
Right now, in this version of it, like with this fader block, for example, there are 4 banks, but I think that's basically just to simulate a 16-channel mixer. However, the amount of the amount of banks theoretically is limitless. If you use, for example, yeah, absolutely. If you use, there's also native support inside of Max MSP, Cycling 74 Max MSP for blocks. And inside of that interface, you can really, really get very detailed in terms of which messages are being sent, and it's an infinite amount of banks. You can just click through them as many as you want.
Oh, neat. So, when's this going to be coming out? You said you're going to beta quite soon, and then will it be a free thing, or is it going to be a paid thing? When it comes,
it will be it'll be bundled with a light pad block, or a live block, or a loop block.
Right.
So when you buy a block, you'll get Noise, which is the iOS app, and also the software engine of the block system, and the blocks dashboard will be bundled with Noise.
And is it PC coming as well, or is it just Mac at the moment?
It will work on both iOS and OS X platforms.
Okay, but
sorry, OS X and Windows platforms.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
My pleasure.